I think your experience is pretty common because it was the same for me. There were things that I experienced in childhood that also caused me to push down my emotions. I became a workaholic, I want to distract myself from feeling all those feelings by drowning myself in work. And through my work, and especially when I excel and do well, it makes me feel good, right? So I became a perfectionist also. And being a perfectionist, it was a good outlet for me in a sense to show my anger, right? When things don't go right, when people don't do their jobs, I get angry, all right, and things like that. And so much so that there was this mentor of mine who had to tell me, he says, you're a troubleshooter, but please shoot the trouble, not the people. I said, okay, I'll try. But for me, how I kind of got out of it and recovered from it was, number one, realize that no one can make me angry except myself.
Yeah.
Anger is a choice. Yes, anger is emotion. We can get triggered to anger, but why are they there? All right. So it's not like, we were all hardwired to be angry. No. All right. It's a choice. It's somehow programmed in us through our life experiences. So we need to go back and look at some of these things. So the first thing I have to learn is no one can make me angry. If I do become angry, yes, for a couple of seconds, for a minute or two, that's all I allow myself to. Give myself the time to catch myself being angry, feeling the anger, and then telling myself, you made a choice to be angry, and then along with that, my perfectionistic, tendencies also kind of became more tempered. And so, yeah, today I'm still a little bit perfectionistic. I think you might be able to see that a little. All right. But in terms of anger, I have really, it's like a difference between the equator and the North Pole. Okay, I'm not North Pole yet, but and I think one of the reasons also is why men today struggle to have that feeling is also another concept that has been around for a long time, and that's Stoicism. Have you heard this term? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. But unfortunately, Stoicism has been misunderstood. Because the dictionary today defines a Stoic as a person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings or complaining. That is actually totally inaccurate. That's not the original meaning of the word Stoic. I mean, if the original Stoics are still around today, they're still alive, they will be protesting. They will be writing to Webster and Oxford and Cambridge dictionaries and saying, you have totally, changed the meaning of this word. Yeah. So Stoicism or Stoic does not mean showing no emotions. It's actually knowing what you can control and knowing what you cannot control. All right. And what you cannot control, let go. What you can control, which is 90% yourself, work on it.
And of course, I mean, I personally, I feel that because for my own, and the kind of emotion, sometimes we are lack of these emotional words, especially for men. Yeah, I do remember when I worked with a group of these prisoner in prison. Yeah, and there's this one topic about emotions. Yeah, when I get them to share their emotions, okay, they will only know, I'm angry, very angry. Yeah, I'm sad. I mean, the emotional words there's this limit choices lah. But somehow some of these guys, they can, because I get them to, okay, within few minutes, 5 minutes, okay, write as many emotional words as you can. But you see, a lot of guys are struggling.
Yeah. What was the maximum number of emotional words they could write?
Okay, most of them, at least only 10, the most, 5 to 10. Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
The
10 is
best
quite
one,
a lot.
the best one can come up with at least 15. No? I mean, that one, I amazed, man.
Okay, he must be very good in English. Yeah.
Yeah, should be.
Yeah. But I think you're onto something that, part of improving our emotional intelligence is to expand our vocabulary, especially the emotional vocabulary, right? I've worked with translators and interpreters before, and depending on what subject you are talking about. Let's say you're an engineer, right?
Mm.
And you want to find a translator. You cannot just find any translator. You need to find a translator who is well versed in the lexicon of technical terms, engineering terms,
Mm.
right? Yeah. So that they can understand what you're saying and on the spot interpret and translate for you.
Mm.
So likewise, emotional vocabulary, vocabulary, there are different kinds. There's emotional, there's technical, there's all kinds.
Mm.
So one of the things if you want to improve your emotional intelligence is to expand, enlarge your emotional vocabulary, which is to learn more words, emotional
Mm.
words. Like anger itself is just one word, right? I'm
Mm.
very, like you say, angry, very angry, not so angry. But it's a spectrum. Anger is a spectrum from just being annoyed, right?
Mm.
To being, irritated, to being disgusted, to being,
Mad. Yeah.
mad, all right, and outraged and things like that.
Mm.
So it's a whole spectrum. And the more you can be specific in how you feel, the degree of your anger, the more people can understand you
Mm.
and they will know how to treat you, whether to touch you or not to touch you,
Yeah. That's why
right?
in terms of somatic work, right? I mean, when it comes to these emotions, normally I ask, okay, on the scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 10, I mean, how are you feeling? Yeah.
Mm,
And then I will get them to feel their body sensations. Yeah. Sometimes
mm,
men will say that I feel angry, I feel sad, but this is basically based on their thinking. I maybe it's the right word they say. I think I'm angry. Yeah, but in terms of their
mm.
feeling, they really not getting in touch with their own emotions. Yeah, I mean this is not just for men. Some women they also encounter these issues. Mm.
Yep, yep. It's very true because our emotions are so tied up with our body, and it's through our body that we get the signals about what we are
Mm.
feeling. Like anger, right? One of the things that we will immediately notice or can learn to notice is our heart rate. Our heart rate starts
Mm.
to climb. And then by
Yes.
the time it reaches like 95 or 100 beats per minute, then we are in danger of reaching a point called flooding, right?
Mm.
And that's where we lose control of our minds. We stop thinking and we just act out in anger. Just
Yeah.
think of road rage. That's what happens when you reach that point of flooding.
Mm.
Yeah. So the same thing with all other emotions, like, anxiety, right? My body used to react to anxiety and stress, all right,
Mm.
with back aches, lower back.
Mm.
All right. Today is shoulder. I don't know. Maybe I've been going to the gym and so my back is stronger. Okay. So now it moves up to my shoulders, and my
Mm.
neck.
Mm.
So whenever I feel a tension in my shoulders and my neck, yeah, I know, okay, I am anxious and stressed about something. What
Mm.
is that? Yeah. So
Mm.
it's important to be able to read your body and pick up those signals that our bodies are sending us so that we can know something is happening to us at the
Mm.
emotional level. All right.
Yep.
And you will avoid an escalation or misunderstanding if because of your emotions and you were not aware of that. How can men feel again?
Of course, they need a safe space for them to articulate their emotions. Yeah. Even before, normally guys were more talking about their thoughts first, like their thinking, how they think, and then and when they feel safe enough, they will reveal their emotions. Yeah. So it's very important to create that safe space for them. Yeah, and encourage them. And of course, when as a listener, we don't give advice, we just discern with compassion. Like when
Mm,
I work with the groups of men, and when we touch on these emotions, words, I mean, talk about men and emotions. Yeah. And they always find that they have, like, even they talk to their family members or colleagues. Okay, sometimes they always feel that they've been judged, by what they
mm,
said. Yeah. And so it's very important for us to have that safe space for them.
that is true. One of the tools, tricks I have picked up. It's basically I have this piece of paper with all the different emotions written on it. In bold letters are the kind of the umbrella emotion like anger, all right, or
Mm.
angry. And then in smaller, finer print are other words like, annoyed or
Mm.
irritated or, upset. Okay. So that, they also get to see that anger has different dimensions to it, has different degrees to it. And then, in a group, I would just, ask everyone to just pick one emotion, all right, that they felt most strongly or most frequently in the last, let's say, 5 to 7 days. Okay. Because sometimes men don't remember very well, especially emotional stuff, right? We remember facts and figures, but not these kind of emotional things. So just in the last 5 to 7 days, what was the strongest emotion? What was the emotion that you felt most strongly or most frequently? All right. And then what was an incident, that was related to that? I find that really helped men, okay, because you are giving them helping words. It's like primary school English, right? You give them helping words to fill in the blanks. If you expect them to fill in the blanks on their own, for some it can be challenging. Like you say, right? They don't have a lot of vocabulary. But if you give them the helping word, it's like removing one big barrier, one big obstacle, and now they can just simply do the exercise. And because everyone is doing it, they don't feel that they are being, the spotlight is shining on them.
Yeah, I do agree with you, because when I'm in counseling, especially working with guys, okay, when they are this kind of the lack of these emotional words, I will give them a list of these emotional words. Okay, and then of course, like I always say, if you angry, yeah, there's a different degree of anger, yeah, and then get them to choose the right words, and then I get them to feel in their body. Yeah, so at least they will know, oh, okay, so this is anger, this is annoyed, this is, frustrations. Yeah, at least they will realize that, hey, there's some degree of, difference.
And I think also another thing men can do if they want to feel again, to, get in touch with their emotions again. I won't even call it getting in touch with their feminine side. I totally don't agree with that idea, right? That emotions is a feminine thing. No, it's not. Yeah, right. It's as masculine as it is feminine. It's human, right? We're just being more human. We talked about emotional neglect earlier, right? So emotional neglect is what our parents failed to do for us. And that is to acknowledge when we do have emotions. They failed to validate it. They failed to give us the permission, the time, and the place to feel those emotions, right? For example, if a child feels sad because, okay, my pet died, and then my parent comes and tell me, well, I can understand you're sad, but hey, look, let me just buy you another pet, right? Okay. So that in that sense, there's no validation, right? I'm not given the time and the place to grieve, to feel sad. And so what you were not given, now you are an adult, all right? You can give it to yourself. So I think there's a term called reparenting.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So you don't go around looking for another parent. You don't say, no, I want to be adopted by someone. No, no. You're 35 years old. Nobody is going to adopt you. Right. So you have to parent yourself, and maybe you are a parent already. So, but you need to be your own parent first. You need to speak kindly to yourself. You need to acknowledge when you have emotions like sadness or fear or, anger, just acknowledge it. Yeah, I can see you're feeling this. It's okay. It's okay to feel that. All right. Just be quiet for a while, feel it, take as long as you need to. Okay. And then calm yourself down, talk to yourself, just like a parent would talk to the child, empathize with the child and, and says, what can I do to make you feel better? And if you ask a child that question, usually what they'll say is either give me ice cream or give me a hug. All right. And yeah, so get yourself an ice cream, give yourself a hug or whatever. Okay.
Yes.
So I think that's called reparenting,
Yeah.
just be that parent to your inner child who has been, in that sense, emotionally neglected during childhood.
Yes. I agree with you. That's what normally when I do my inner child healing, yeah, the reparenting part is very important. And a lot of times, we want to get others people's validations, but it's not always there's a chance for others people to give us validation. You need to learn how to validate yourself. Yeah. And one thing is very important is give them permission to feel. Yeah. I remember when I work with some of the guys, right? Okay, when talk about certain things, they suppress their emotions. Yeah, so when they talk about certain sad things, I mean, they just a blank face. Okay, they don't feel anything. You can see from their facial expression. Right? When I tell them that if this is a safe, yeah, you have the permission to feel your feeling. And can you imagine after a few minutes, they just broke down. Yeah.
Mm.
And this permission to feel. Yeah. Sometimes because maybe in the past when they were a child, they are not, I mean, they are not allowed to feel certain emotions.
And what you say about, don't just wait for people to validate your emotions, because not everyone knows how to do that even,
Yeah. Yeah, I
right?
agree
Yeah,
with you.
because yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
because chances are, if you meet five people, I think four of them have experienced some degree of childhood emotional neglect,
Yeah.
right? And if you have
Yes.
experienced childhood emotional neglect, chances are when you become a parent, you will probably do the same to your kids,
Mm.
unless you have realized that this is what you've received
Mm.
and it's impacting you this way. And now you are reskilling yourself, right? Retool yourself,
Mm.
learn this skill of acknowledging, validating your child's emotions, teaching them to label their emotions and managing their emotions,
Yeah.
So unless you go through that transition,
Mm.
you will probably just repeat what your parents did to you. And so
Yes.
it goes from generation to generation.
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm not
Yeah.
judging anyone. It's sad that this is happening.
Mm.
But now that we have this knowledge, that gives us the opportunity to change things, to break that cycle, so that the next generation will not have to go through what we went through.